What's happening, sports fans? Christian Pedersen, Noah Laxina, Mary York. We are at Lincoln for the track and field podcast that is back to really just claim the throne of the one that I enjoy the most, actually, because these guys do all the interviewing and all the work, and I get to just hang out, soak up some sun, and talk to some really famous and fast athletes. Guys, today we are checking out Lincoln playing host to Coronado, so the fastest girl in the county is here.
And long.
And the long jumpers, and we've left sort of the starting blocks, if you will, and we're into the home stretch, that middle, maybe in the curve. Still looking to figure out all my track metaphors before I mix them with lacrosse and baseball. Like, we're striking people out. I don't know what exactly is happening, other than the fact that, like I said, we're talking to some of the fastest kids in the county today, and I think that's where maybe we need to just start our general track discussion for the uninitiated. Here's how our podcast kind of goes down. You'll see the three of us blabbing away for the first couple minutes, giving some highlights from what's happening around the county. Then we'll dig in a little more as to the specifics here, talking to a couple athletes from both sides. But like I said, guys, let's start with the 100 meter, the fastest. We'll get to the girls' side of it because that's who we're going to meet here. But on the guys' side of it, I just want to read out some results. In first place currently in the county for the guys 100 meters is Keenan Christian from Madison with a 10.58. Closest behind him is Coy Ellis from Mount Carmel with 10.69. Don't need to slow you down with numbers, but third, Christopher Erpelding, I'm going to butcher that, Erpelding from Saints, then Jaden Strokes from Del Norte, then Malik Moore from Point Loma, hashtag RBU, then Shamar Martin from Morse, who, if you have not followed him on Instagram or Twitter, has been second to Keenan in terms of picking up college football scholarship offers in this spring, so people getting on board there. Then, oops, spoiler alert, Chris Olave is involved in this one, Isaac Garcia and Carson Lippert rounding out the top 10. You know, obviously you guys are going to want to spend most of the time analyzing Keenan Christian and just how good he can be, but what do you take away from this top 10 list?
That's a pretty powerhouse top 10 list. Kind of an exciting season. I think it's neat to see Carson Lippert up sneaking in there. He's a really great 200 runner. Man, honestly, I feel like you should be. These are all like your football guys. I feel like you should be taking this.
Well, it does bring up a certain interesting aspect of the crossover of, it's hard to necessarily say that being a football player makes you a better basketball player, but it does just get you in the general shape for things. You know, two-sport athletes tend to be the standouts, but football, there is a very direct correlation to, you see him running fast on a Friday night, chances are if you take the pads off and give him just a straight line of running, he's going to be pretty freaking fast. Noah, talk to us a little bit about what you see here.
Well, obviously the two favorites from the beginning of the season, and you know they're continuously showing is Coy Ellis and Keenan Christian. But what I like is in that middle of the field, from that 4 to 8, they're really only like maybe 100th of a second apart from each other. So if they keep training hard, by the time it gets to CIF finals, anyone could really take it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud to see all the football guys that I interviewed during that season on the track, but you know, the track's a different sport, and it's just going to be really exciting to see. San Diego is a really fast county, and I feel like they would represent well at state and in the, at any other invitational involving other counties.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay. This is something I've been wanting to know, because there is so much, you do so often see football players running track, and there's like, oh yeah, you take all the stuff that weighs you down in a football game, but in football, you also have people chasing you, which you don't have in track. So does that make a big difference?
Does the adrenaline get pumping a little bit when you have somebody the size of Samson New chasing you?
Oh, definitely, and you have to change directions too, but I mean, I personally, running track and playing football, track deserves a ton of respect, because I'll tell you this, football, it was hard training and everything, but when you have to run a ladder, step training in track, and you got to run 4 400s, 3 200s, so on and so forth,
It beats you up a little bit?
Way harder than any football workout I've done personally. Just running and running, and you got to have a certain type of craziness to you to just want to go out and practice every day, and all you do in practice is run, run, run. So these track athletes don't get enough credit. I'm sure the football athletes on our list will tell you as well that track, conditioning for track, and the sport itself is a whole different ballgame.
That in and of itself answers why I chose to spend my life playing baseball and not having to run. You mentioned Carson Lippert being an interesting one on the 100. His name pops up much higher in the 200 list. So this is our guys' 200 list. We're not talking about that one yet. Don't confuse the people. For the 200 meters on the guys, Kenan Christian, spoiler alert, again in first place right now in the county with a 21.42. Put 21.42 in context for the uninitiated into track at the 200-meter distance.
Okay, so if your best athletes are running a 100 in like 10-ish seconds, then to double that, would you'd think be 20-ish seconds, but keep in mind that like a sprint is everything that you have. It's like every fiber of adrenaline and power. Like when you finish a 100, you're done. So to do that twice without a break in the middle is ridiculous. So usually you lose seconds at the end of that 200. You go like, exponentially slower. So to have a 21, what is it, a
21.42.
Whew, that means this guy is like repeating his 100 and just like chugging it out. And I think when you look at, we were talking about
10.58, so he would be a 21.06 or 21.16.
Gosh.
If he was doing it in exact duplicate, but yeah, not far off of that.
So that's incredible because he's maintaining his speed throughout, which is really, really hard to do. And I think that's why you see Carson Lippert is much higher on the 2. He maybe doesn't have the speed, but he's got endurance, which is what a lot of your 100s are lacking, is that endurance to keep their speed going.
Well, and Noah, you say San Diego's a fast county. Does a number like this indicate, like, would this stack up at the state level? Is this really truly someone that deserves to be the fastest in the county?
Yeah, definitely. You take Kenan Christian's time and you put it in the state meet this year, and he's gonna place pretty high on the list. And another element to this 200 is you're running a curve to start the race. Right, so it takes a certain type of technique to run the curve well, and then when the curve slingshots you out and you have that straightaway, it's a real technical thing to do. Okay, so when you have Kenan Christian running it at a similar time, it's phenomenal.
Next couple people chasing Kenan figuratively and literally on the 200 meters. Coy Ellis, again from Mount Carmel. Coy Ellis, second in both of these speed races. We will definitely have to give him a visit later this season. Carson Lippert in number 3rd. Isaac Garcia from Brawley 4th. Then 5th and 6th, a pair of Olympian Eagles, Hugo Soberanes and Michael Tyler. Michael Tyler, butchered both those names. Didn't say I was good at this, just said I was a pretty face. So guys, it seems like the 100 and the 200 really, really impressive so far. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll get to a couple of the other events, or we'll get to the rest of the events as the season goes on. One more that I just want to get into before we jump over to the girls' side of things is, and I'm trying to pull it up, the shot put for the guys, which, well, you know what? In the order in which my notes are going, we'll jump over to the 100 meters for the girls first. I apologize for that. We're going to meet her today. Alyssa Hickey. 11.87, with the next fastest being a 12.17. So she is the only girl right now in the 100 meters to break sub 12. She is from Coronado. Then behind her is Leila Solongo from Mira Mesa. Then Alyssa Meeks from Olympian. Jordan Earl from West Hills. And Columbia Page from Olympian, rounding out the top 5. What does this list say to you? We've met a couple of these girls already, but with somebody already breaking sub 12, we'll start over on Noah this time. Just kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, well, a lot of the names that you just mentioned, the girls actually raced each other a couple weeks ago at the Mount Carmel invite. So they got a little taste of what it's going to be like in CIF prelims and finals, going against such a fast heat with all these fierce competitors. And again, from 2 to 9 on this list, actually 2 to 10 on this list, anybody could jump up. The 10th fastest runner on her best day, Clark Taylor, she could jump up to 2 easily. So it's one of the most competitive years in the 100 that we've had in San Diego, and I'm looking forward to see how it ends up shaking up.
Mary?
Yeah, I mean, ditto all that. I think it's great that Lisa is already under the 12. It's nice. It's nice to have someone to chase. Like if someone sets the bar really high, then it's likely that everyone else is going to kind of rise to meet the challenge. So and you know, Lisa has that big meet, the Arcadia meet this weekend. I'm pretty sure a couple other girls on the list are attending also, and I feel like that's kind of what everyone is pushing for, the last meet or two. Certainly today, everyone's going to have that in mind. I wish we could go to that one.
You know what? Nothing is stopping you from going to that. Let's jump over to the 200 because unlike the guys' side of things, this is not a clean sweep of the same cast of characters. Leah Salongo from Mira Mesa right now currently sitting with the best time in the 200 meters at 24.89. Behind her, Dakota Stanley from Mission Hills, then Columbia Page from Olympian, Adeze Noble from Olympian. Olympian likes to just group themselves in very similar, so you talk about setting the pace, having someone literally and figuratively right in front of you or behind you. Then Aisha Sahid from Madison, Clark Taylor and Aubrey Bell from Scripps Ranch, Miranda Godson and Ashley King from San Marcos rounding that out. So, big difference in the top 10 for the 200 to the 100. What does that say about the field right now in San Diego County?
My first impression is that just tells us that our female runners are endurance. There's a huge difference in endurance there. Just kind of like it's the Carson Lippert story. He's a really good 200 runner, but there are so many fast guys that it's hard to keep up with that pack. Maybe on the women's side of things, what we're looking at here is a lot of fast ladies who don't have as much endurance, and so the game totally changes when you get the 200. Suddenly you're doubling your pace. You've got that curve in there, which is really hard to get around, and you know, the 200 is a completely different race. You have to train for it differently. Yeah, so we got two different sets of athletes here.
Noah?
And we talked about the 100-meter girls being super competitive. This is even closer. For me, I see the difference being CIF prelims. Whoever gets the faster time in CIF prelims is gonna be the favorite going into the finals, because it could be the #1 runner and she has a not too good of a prelim time, and then she has to run lane 9, lane 8 in the CIF finals, and running that 200 in lane 9 is really bad, and running in lane 1 is also really bad because you got to either run the whole curve or you got to go super wide to start the race. So to me, the difference maker between this very close race between these ladies is going to be the prelims. If you do good in the prelims, you're going to have a great lane in the final and have great potential to win the championship.
Well, I got my notes all sorted out, so what do you say we jump into the shot put on the guys' side? Alexis Paco de la Cruz from Southwest El Centro currently sitting in first place with a 52.10 throw. David Folsom, a.k.a. Davey the Crusher from Point Loma, sitting in second. Crevassier Irby from Morris sitting in third. David Gonzalez from Granite Hills. Matthew Amonkoa from Canyon Crest fourth. Dominic D'Andrea from Otay Ranch fifth. Austin Sunseri from RBV seventh. Dominic D'Andrea was sixth. Sean Poma, that one's an interesting one. Sean Poma is built like a tank, but not necessarily in the vertical sense that you would associate with a list that is filled literally with offensive linemen. To have a running back in there is really interesting. Then Gabe West from Torrey Pines and Riley Bettis from El Cap rounding that list out. A decent, there's a 5-foot gap from first to 10th on that list, so I'm assuming it's basically anybody that's over that 50-foot mark right now that you're really looking at being in contention for this. Anything kind of surprise you here?
Yeah,
because the big men need love too.
Oh, definitely. Shout out to all the big men out there, all the throwers that don't get enough credit. Not a lot of people really go to see the shot put, but hey, it's a great event. You guys should go check it out at the next track meet you go to. But Davey Folsom was in the lead for quite some time this season, and then Alexis Paco de la Cruz just surpassed him. So it's going to be, exciting to see, if Davey's looking at the list thinking, hey, I gotta step it up a notch.
Boogie.
And it's going to be exciting to see who keeps their technique and who keeps their poise at the CIF finals, because, you could be you could throw the farthest, but if you scratch 3 times, you're done, and you don't have, and your mark is going to be 0. So I'm excited to see, who doesn't scratch, who keeps their form right, and is at their most powerful come at the end of the season.
And I would assume getting wind like this that we've had today, kind of blasting us in the face, could potentially be a boom or a bust if it's in front of you or behind you or left or right. All sorts of interesting things. Mary, what do you see from this list?
From a school's perspective, I think it's a nice spread. I like seeing that East County representation in there with LCAP way out in
Granite Hills.
Yeah, and great.
South Centro technically counts as East County.
True. So it's a really nice spread, and I think yeah, it's shot put this is shot put, right?
Yes.
So we move on to discus? No, shot put. Okay, so shot put is interesting because the type of athlete that you see on in shot put is so different than what you'd expect at a track meet. You are talking really big people, really powerful guys. That's all I got on shot put.
Fair enough. That Sean Poma thing just throws me.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively, and because it's a throwing sport and whatnot, I don't know if that was a bad attempt at a pun, but just offensive lineman type running back. And so it shows that it really is a technique sport where it's not necessarily, you don't have to just be 6'4", 240 and have long arms. It's if you can generate the proper thrust, you can really throw a stone. Let's jump over to the girls. Nu'u Tulifongo from El Camino is currently in first with a 41.4, best mark this season. Angel Sriodum from University City, Miracle Masule from Mount Miguel, and then a second, Jillian Coronado from University City. Round out the top 4, we got Brandy Ata Utasi from West Hills rounding out the top 5. Again, only a slim number above a certain mark, 2 above 40. What do you make, though, out of a pair of throwers in the top 4 being from University City?
I mean, you got to give the credit to the throwing coach over at University City. And I'm pretty sure they're very fortunate to have 2 great throwers on the same team who probably push each other at practice each and every day. And what I like about this is if you look at the list, they've all PR'd a couple weeks ago at the Mount Carmel Invitational. So it's showing that each and every week they're getting better and better. And that's what you want to do at the track season. You don't want to do your best week 1 in the track season, just like any sports season. You want to do your best towards the end of the season. And I feel like that's what all these throwers are going to do, and they're going to put on a show to come towards the end.
You keep alluding to this CIF finals. You cannot get me this excited when we're still a month out, man. Come on now. Mary, any closing notes on what we've all seen today before I let you two cut loose and go talk to the actual superstars?
Yeah, I mean, well, Noah's got me excited about CIF finals too, but as a distance runner at heart, I know that it's the journey that gets you there. It's the stuff that happens in the middle that makes you as an athlete. And I think the next couple weeks here are going to be really exciting as we see athletes, especially on the guy side, going for those top spots. Definitely the women's 100, that's anyone's game in my opinion still. And we still have so much to cover, other throwing events and running events. I mean, track and field is such a comprehensive sport that attracts so many different types of athletes.
Yeah, this is honestly kind of brutal on the me reading names and numbers list, because if football kept literal like left guard, left tackle, center, right guard, right tackle type stats, that's what through a track. But that's kind of the fun of what I'm figuring out about all this, guys, is that every week there's something fresh and new for us to talk about. We'll be back next week from a different location with different events and different leaders and fun plot lines to talk about. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let the two of you guys talk to some of the fastest hurdlers, some of the fastest sprinters, all sorts of goodness here at Lincoln versus Coronado. Thank you very much for tuning in, sports fans. Let us know where you want to see us over the next couple weeks, because we'll come to you.
What's up, sports fans? I'm here with Don Chapman from Lincoln High School, special athlete for the track and field program. What events do you do?
I run the 110 hurdles, 300 hurdles, and I do high jump.
And you're the #1 hurdler in the league for your league. How does that feel to, be ranked #1?
I mean, it feels good, but at the same time, I'm still striving to get better. I got a lot of work to do because I'm still around 15, 16 area. I want to be in the 14s.
And talk about some of the training you've been doing so that when it comes to, league finals, CIF prelims, CIF finals, what's some of the training you've been doing so you peak at the right time?
I mean, we run a lot of 400s in order to build strength and stamina. And then we do a lot of hurdle work, like we do drills, different drills. A whole bunch of coaches have been talking to me about I should do this drill, that drill. and it helps out a lot, especially the 3-step and the 5-step drills. They're making me come down quicker, and everything's like working to their. It's working out for me real well.
So you do the hurdles. What makes the hurdles so unique? Because people don't realize how tough of a race it is to be running full speed and then jumping, landing, running full speed consistently.
I mean, it's a great race. It's very difficult, especially if you don't have the technique, but I think it's way better than just running in a straight line just on the whole track.
Adds a whole nother dynamic to it, doesn't it?
You're jumping, you're running, and it's just, you got to keep your balance. You don't want to fall, but you don't want to think about it too much because you want to just go and just go.
So a lot that plays into being a successful hurdler. Good luck the rest of the season. Is there any like pregame meal that you have, any pregame routine that you do every single week?
I listen to Drake a lot, and the new person I'm listening to is Greedo. You know, I listen to them a lot before I come out, then I just feel pumped for when I run my events.
Well, from two great Drake fans who love Drake, that's the interview. See ya.
All right, we're here with Aaliyah Crawford. She's a freshman from Lincoln and a hurdler. Tell us about your season so far.
It's been good. I've been progressing, improving, but there's still a lot that I know I need to work on, and it's fun. It's fun, yeah.
You told me that your knee is feeling a little weak today. So, what's the game plan going into the afternoon?
I'm just gonna do my best. That's all I can do. Try.
So you've had some successes as a freshman that are kind of unusual. You're hanging in there with the big dogs. What does that feel like?
I feel like it helps me, like when I'm going against the older people, it just helps me go faster, or it makes me, sometimes it makes me feel like I look slow, but then I don't think I'm that slow. Like, I be catching up. And they, like, the older ones on my team they're supportive. They all help me when I don't know what I'm doing. But then going against people from other schools, it's like, it's not, I don't know, it hasn't been a challenge so far. I'm pretty sure it might be today, but.
Yeah, with that knee. Okay, so our last question, and we've been asking everyone this. I'm looking for who eats the best meal before racing. So what's your breakfast of champions?
Cereal?
What kind?
I don't know, Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes, all right, got them Frosted Flakes. Aaliyah, thank you so much for being on with us.
Hey sports fans, I'm here with Elisa Hickey from Coronado. What events do you do?
I do the 100, 200, 4x1, long jump, and high jump.
So pretty versatile athlete. Well, you're #1 for the women's in the 100, #1 in the long jump, and you're the only woman under 12 right now. Talk about how successful your season's been so far.
Well, so far it's pretty early in the season, but it was good to get my PR, which I got last meet at Mount Carmel, and I ran 11:87, so that was good. Starting the meet off with a PR.
And this weekend you're going to be competing in a very big tournament, the Arcadia Invitational. You're going to be going against some of the fastest women out there. What's the preparation been like getting ready to compete in such a huge event?
I mean, like, luckily there's a lot of invitationals leading up to Arcadia, and some of the girls who do those invitationals will be at Arcadia. So, like, running with a few of them, like last meet I ran with Jasmine Frost, who will be at Arcadia, and so just already exposing myself to the competition is, like, helpful, obviously, and I'm just excited to run and jump.
And what are some, like I said, you've had a lot of success already this season. What are your, by the end of the season, what do you want to accomplish? What are the goals? Like, by the end of the season, I want to do this, what are they?
I want to go to state and perform well, hopefully PR, because last time I went to state and I didn't do as well as I hoped, but it was also my first year running at state, so I want to go and, like, show what I'm made of, compete with all the other girls, and just have a good time, not be stressed.
Well, best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season. A great time interviewing. Have a great year.
Thank you.
All right, we're here with Ian. Ian, say your last name for me.
Hurlbert.
Hurlbert, that's classy. Ian Hurlbert here from Coronado. He's a mid-distance runner, mostly your 400 to 800, anything else?
Yeah, mostly 400, 800.
Yeah. Okay, so number one in the 800 right now. Gosh, 800 is a tough one. What does it take mentally to get around this track, not once but twice, before everyone else finishes?
I don't know. It's lots to do. I used to run the 1600, so it feels shorter than that, I think, which is a lot better. So I mean, I like running the shorter stuff, and then I usually just try and run with the guys until the end, and then try and sprint. So that's kind of like I do the speed workout stuff to get that final kick.
Right. So you've got a really big meet coming up this weekend. What is your game plan going into that?
I'm going to try and get out quickly, maybe running third or fourth for the first lap, 600 meters. And then right before the final turn, I want to take out, get into first or second, then see if I can kick into the lead at the very last bit.
What's the intimidation factor like going into something like this? You know, there are a lot of big names going, a lot of big athletes. What's it feel like?
It's not really intimidation. It's more like these guys are better than me. Let's see if I can I can run with them. Like my goal is just to be as good as them. Like I want to test myself to see how far I can go.
Okay. All right. Final question. We know that fueling up is important. I've been asking everyone in San Diego this, and I'm looking for the best breakfast of champions. The meal to beat is a Carl's Jr. Western bacon cheeseburger. What do you eat before a meet?
Eggs and raisin bread toast.
Raisin bread toast with like cream cheese or butter or peanut butter?
Butter.
Okay, normal. Classy, classy guy. All right, thank you so much, Ian.